welcome to this edition of Here We Go program. I'm Shizhen in Wuhan. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Sun Arnaud from Canada, to share with us his perspective of enhancing communication skills in our daily life. So welcome to join us.
Thank you for inviting me.
So to start it with, so what made communication such interest on your side?
I found that communications, if not done properly, leads to many misunderstandings and causes confusion, but also can cause chaos and disruptions. So communications must be clear. So I started to study how the mind thinks, how it receives this information, and ways to make it easier for people to learn and to communicate.
So I read that your PhD specializing measuring organization behavior and learning. So what characterizes the communication in an organization setting?
Organizations, small organizations, we will observe have very, how should I say, very rapid communications. The exchange of information is very quick because the people see each other face to face. But as the organization or company becomes bigger, there is a loss of this face to face. It becomes a paper exchange of information. When we deal with paper exchange, it becomes too long, so people try to take shortcuts. As they try to take shortcuts, it means they will leave information out of that may be needed, that we have face to face. So communications becomes mixed up, also slowed down greatly. And for companies especially, there is a need for quick information so that they can make decisions on market penetration, promotion, selling their products or services. And all of this is based on quick decisions, which needs quick information. So my interest has been to enable large organizations to keep some of this smaller attitudes, if you wish, or skills.
So as you mentioned that to enhance the effective communication in an organizational setting, you have to try to fasten or quicken the steps, the paces. So exactly how to achieve that goal?
Certainly some organizations are doing some of this. They're having meetings often.
Yeah.
The trouble with meetings, yes, we have face-to-face exchange of information, but many meetings are held on a regular basis, and people are, how should I say, forced to go to these meetings. Many times they do not want to go to these meetings. So what we must try to do is have meetings, ad hoc meetings. In other words, you have meetings in the hallway, in an office, the director's office, or even one of the workers' office. There must also be some, how can I say, there's the idea of egos, okay, saving face and all that. Managers must realize that even though they have the title of boss, that it does not mean that they must have the others come to them. They must continue to go to the workers to get information. The workers are busy working. The manager takes all this information and analyzes it. So the manager usually has more, how can I say, flexible time. I won't use the word free time because they don't. They have flexible time. So they choose where they will do things. So to get managers to understand that to have efficient, quick communication means they must go to the source of the information. They must not be afraid to do this. They must not think of losing face. They must not think that, oh, well, I'm the boss, I should not be doing this. So it is a mental mindset, if you wish, that must be retrained.
So I heard that you had an interest to set up such a company or training center in China. So what triggered such a thinking?
I've always been interested in learning for myself. That is the prime directive, if you wish, is I like to learn new things. I'm a very, very curious person. But at the same time, for people to be encouraged to work, to have motivation, I believe they must keep the child in them. As children, when we're very young, 5, 6, 7, we start walking, we start looking at things, discovering things. We're fascinated by all these new things. So if we can keep part of that in our heart, then we are not afraid about egos, about position, titles, and things like that. So we will go and find information. And with more information, we can make quicker decisions, but also maybe smarter decisions, perhaps wiser decisions in that. So my objective has been to try to develop a training program, if you wish, where people would be trained in these, this thinking, this concept of being an adult, but also still with a child, and not being afraid of being childish. And that. So.
Yeah, so taking to the differences of between the Canadian and Chinese cultures. So what make you feel confident that your Western concept of organizational behavior management would fit our soil here in China?
Okay. I guess I should start with the basics in that, yes, there are different countries, different cultures, but a human being is a human being. So what I'm talking about is more the, how should I say, the specific aspects, character of a human being. It is influenced by where they live, but the basic remains the same. Honesty, integrity, curiosity. Okay? People in Canada are very curious. But when I arrived in China, I found out that people here also are very curious. Imagine sitting in a park and I'm trying to read and write some notes, and I have 3 or 4 Chinese people behind me looking to see what I'm doing, right there in public. In Canada, that would not happen, although people are curious. But the curiosity is there. So there are basic elements of a human being that apply to all cultures. So my training, my thinking, my idea is based on these basics that I'm trying to, how should I say, discover, analyze, and promote. So the training package will include some of this in there. So it will be applicable not just in Canada, Western culture, but also in China, Asian cultures, and also other cultures, because we will talk about the basics of a human being keeping their curiosity, remaining honest as much as possible within the context of their environment, doing things for others. I promote the concept of win-win. I firmly believe that for things to be of value, there must be this idea of win-win for everyone involved in that particular project, contract, selling products. In that. So the training will fit in with this. And I've already, how can I say, experimented and proven this to a certain extent with some of my students.
So from your observation so far, what features our corporate culture here?
What are the features of your corporate culture here?
In our corporations or enterprises? Are there any differences between that of our corporations and that of Canadian corporations or big companies?
Yes, certainly there is the idea of culture a little bit.
Like
but there's also the idea
centralized, or perhaps you're more decentralized thing.
Yes,
yeah?
There is exactly. That is one of the big parts. There's also the part that the organizations in China are at the, how can I say, infancy stage.
Yeah.
Okay, you are only now discovering the open market concept, where you have to be efficient, where you have to be assertive in product, services, etc. In China at the moment, there are many companies, organizations that are state-owned. So the employees have a tendency to, well, if I don't work, I don't work. I will be paid anyways.
Yeah.
And I must say, in all honesty, that even in Canada, United States, and Europe, large organizations, you have people like this, even today.
Yeah.
Okay, so any large organization, there is this tendency of human beings to say, well, why should I work? I will be paid anyways.
welcome to this edition of Here We Go program. I'm Shijun in Wuhan. Today we have a special guest, Dr. Sun Arnaud from Canada, to share with us his perspective of enhancing communication skills in our daily life.
I must say, in all honesty, that even in Canada, United States, and Europe, large organizations, you have people like this, even today.
Yeah.
Okay, so any large organization, there is this tendency of human beings to say, well, why should I work? I will be paid anyways. But as these companies, these organizations are privatized, Canada has privatized most of its government-owned operations, organizations.
Yeah.
So once it is privatized, then there's, because it is privatized, there is this inherent need to make it more efficient, to be profitable, okay, which can be a bad word, but also can be a good word because it motivates invention, initiative, in people. So as people become interested in doing things better, they discover ways to do these things better, which saves money, which is good, but it also saves time. Because one of the basic concepts that I have is that all people are lazy. There is good lazy and there's bad lazy, okay? So, but a good lazy, I will give you an example. I'm doing some work and it takes me an hour to do it. I look at the others, what happens before I receive it and where it goes after I've done my work. I'm curious, so I check. I see the process. It is clear in my mind. Then I start analyzing, how can I make it faster? Because the motivation for me is, I'm lazy, so I want things to go through my hands faster or to give it to someone else. So I start looking at it and I discover there's another process that could be used, maybe more efficient. So I talk to the boss and we agree to test it. And we discover it is easier, simpler. So we do this. I've saved money for the company and I have saved time for myself to do other things that interest me more. Because many people do work that they do not like, but they do it because money. Okay? For me, it has been over some 20 years that I decided a long time ago not to concentrate on work that I love to do. So when the opportunity came for me to come to China and to do training, I analyzed it. I looked at possibilities. It would be simpler for me. It is something I love to do. So I'm here doing it. So I'm proof of this laziness aspect, but the good laziness.
Yeah, but I'm kind of curious about your role as not only kind of just not an ambassador, but you want to bring in, to share what you have, learned, and been doing. But at the same time, also you're kind of pioneering to push some of the Western concepts, right? Because you say we are infant stage, there are opportunities, but at the same time, there's a lot of groundwork you need to build up. Like
True.
So,
True.
So how have you prepared yourself mentally for all these challenges?
Because I'm a child at heart. Even though I'm 55, I'm still a child at heart. Some of my friends will laugh at this, but it's true. My curiosity gives me strength to face difficulties. There are other things that give me strength, but the main one is my curiosity makes it that even though I have troubles in setting it up. Now, the other thing is, yes, many people, including myself, think of organizations that you have here as being in the infancy stage, just as there are some in Western culture, okay? It's just that Western culture had this situation maybe 40, 50, 60 years ago, okay? And they have evolved, changed to become more efficient, okay? This is happening in China also right now, okay? For the past 20 years that has been happening at a slower pace, but it will pick up, I would imagine. A pioneer, yeah, my concept, many people do not believe in what I say. But many others say, yeah, the results, and there's this, and it makes some sense, that type of thing. The idea of laziness, many people say, no, I'm not lazy. That's okay. I'm not here to change everyone. I'm here to help those who want to be helped, those who want to improve themselves. So I'm here to help them improve with the knowledge that I have, to share the knowledge that I have. At the same time, to make a living, of course, you need that, but also to experience Chinese culture. You have 5,000 years of history. Wow. For me, that is a gold mine of knowledge for me to dig into. There are many offices or branches, if you wish, of international companies opening up. An example is Manpower here in Wuhan, Manpower office. It is an American company, but mostly global international company that helps companies find good employees, especially at the executive management levels. So I'm helping them with some training. Their English is already at the intermediate level, but because they want to offer quality service, they have come to me to help them to improve their communication skills. Also their understanding of culture and differences, because there are some differences.
But my thinking is that these big organizations and multinational operations usually have their own, human resource training or whatever departments. So how would you, how make it possible for you to penetrate into this area?
Yes, many have centralized training packages, but these training operations, divisions, are usually for headquarters.
Oh, okay.
When we get into branch offices, there are limited resources. Headquarters may have 100,000 employees, but the branch office may have 3, 10, 20 people. So their budget does not allow them to have in-house trainer in-house. So they do outsourcing, which is one of the things we have been discussing with this Manpower group. Outsourcing is becoming popular here in China also. So organizations will go outside to find another organization that can provide training to their staff and others.
So 2 questions at this point. So you're training the locals, right? Not the Americans?
Correct.
The locals,
yes.
Okay. And the second question is that how can you guarantee that your training would not will go in line with the headquarters